Hi, welcome to another episode of Nerd Supernova. I am your host, Paul Michaels, and my co-host...
KJ McDermott. Yay!
Wow. Alright, anyway, today...
It's morning, and I need like a good 2 hours of startup time before my processor boots itself.
Yeah, well, you're in a better mood than you were last podcast where you had a raging headache.
Yes.
And it was like... Yeah, that was great. I thought that was an awesome scene. What did you think?
I was thoroughly distracted for the last podcast and tired, and I was in a show, and yeah.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine.
There was a Civil War movie?
Alright, anyway.
I hope Abe Lincoln came out on top.
Get out of here. Alright. So today we're doing a roundtable about a lot of the DC stuff. Just a lot of DC stuff has been happening recently, so I kind of wanted to.
A roundtable where we were two people. It's kind of like a.
No, I don't mean like it's just like a roundup of all the DC news basically happening. We're roundtable. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of DC stuff that has been happening. A lot of shakeups, both film, TV, and comics. So I think we should just kind of go one after the other. First big round of news for those of you who haven't heard. After I guess you could say the lukewarm reception of Batman v Superman, things have been turned around at DC and Warner Brothers, with Warner Brothers giving basically right after this point making a legit film division for DC Films called DC Films, and the guys who they put in charge of it is John Berg, who has been known to help produce a lot of Ben Affleck pictures, which isn't surprising because Ben Affleck's been taking a more pivotal role. I think he got an executive producer credit on Justice League, and it's also been rumored that he's already helping rework the script a bit with Chris Terrio.
The next Batman movie.
And also he's doing he's going to be directing the Batman movie as well as writing the script with Jeff Johns.
To see who he picks the villain.
I'm interested. I've heard a lot of different rumors. We'll get on that in a sec. But because the other thing is that the other guy, the other co-chief of the DC films is going to be Jeff Johns, who is known to have written some of the best DC world-building things in comics since like the mid-2000s till now. He pretty much helped rebuild the DC universe, not even just counting his Green Lantern stuff. He's also very familiar with television and film. He's worked on the Flash TV show. And worked on Smallville. He's helped out with Arrow and Legends from time to time. He's also the chief creative officer at DC Comics. So him taking on the role of DC Films is perfect because for me personally, I think he has either with the best known one, he knows them very well, and he from what I've heard from everyone who's talked to him, who's worked on DC projects, they say he's basically like an encyclopedia. So for me, that's awesome because that shows.
Britannica or what other? What
he's a Wikipedia that doesn't need to be consistently revised. I'll say that much. He knows his stuff is what I'm saying. That for me is awesome. I'm a huge Jeff Johns fan. I think he's one of like the best modern comic book writers up there. I mean, I can give you a whole list of other comic book.
They need somebody like that
who knows the material.
Who's exactly.
So my thing is.
Who's actually like looking out for the characters and being like, let's not make them look like shit. Like,
I want to be because you know how I feel about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. I myself enjoy those films very much.
Yeah, they were fun movies, but still, I feel like
they could be better.
Could have been so much better.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree. There's lots of flaws with the films. That being said, I still like them and I still appreciate them as movies, and I think they're still vastly different in good ways. But I had a friend who posted the article on my Facebook page, and I was like, "Yeah, this is a good move. I'm happy." And he was like, "Yeah, this is gonna make all these films great." And I was like, "Look, I admit that I like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, but even I agree that the way that this is being formatted, the way this is being done, like making a film division and making these guys in charge, is what they probably should have done from the get-go. So even I'm agreeing that that's probably the best way to go. I think what happened was they had him in very much a small consulting role, Jeff Johns, for like the Green Lantern movie, and we saw how that fucking played out. And from what I know, he didn't have a lot of say. He just more or less was like, well, this is the character, this is how I...
This is how you should do it. Oh, well, thanks for your input, we're not going to listen to
Here's a check, goodbye. Yeah, and that's basically, I think, how they approached that.
Wait a second, who's that guy who knew a lot of stuff? His way? Oh, that guy, we should hire him.
We should just have him be a better consulting role on Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And then they again did that, and then they're like, okay, people aren't really enjoying this yet, so let's make him.
Here's all the monies. You just take all the monies, make movies, make us more monies.
Yeah, and then it's great because I don't know. I assume he doesn't necessarily have maybe a lot of experience dealing with movies, I guess, per se. I mean, I know he was an assistant to Richard Donner, who, if you don't know, is the original director of Superman 1 and some of Superman 2. That basically was like the golden age of superhero movies. Like, pretty much, if that movie did not exist, we would not have the superhero movies we have now.
Very true, but then again, if you played Superman 1 in theaters nowadays, everybody would hate it.
It depends.
This younger generation
is
all about action sequences and everything. You showed an original Superman movie. Like,
I'm saying more or less just the idea of that.
Except for like nostalgia people who'll be like, "Oh, this is great because it's old." And everybody would be sitting there just like, "What the fuck is this?"
I'm bored. Why isn't he doing anything?
Why is he just sitting there and smiling at the camera? Like,
no, but I'm saying that movie is the reason, like, why we have superhero. That showed Hollywood that you could make a superhero movie. Yeah. So he has some experience with that in tow, but I don't know. So I think John Berg, being very experienced at Warner Brothers and working with Ben Affleck, especially, that connection as well, I think is only for the best and for the better. So I think that'll be great. I think they'll do a really good job. I'm happy as a DC fan. My only thing I've said to people is about, like, because when everyone was talking about like the rough tone of BVS, I've had to explain, like, well, to be fair to like the film and their plan for the most part is that was meant to be like extremely, extremely dark. It was meant to be as hardcore as it was because it was like seen as they approached it like a trilogy.
I'd love to see a happy Batman movie.
Yeah, it's called
weird.
Batman 66. Go watch it anytime. It's there. Anyway,
okay.
But yeah,
some days you're just
can't get rid of a bomb. Yeah, but
I'm even happier than that.
No, but like the movie was meant to be dark. Even Chris Terrio, the co-screenwriter, was saying that Justice League was going to have more levity in it, and that's fine. For me, honestly, the way going forward, because even Jeff Johns came forward and says that he wants the films to have more hope and optimism, not just a vague idea of it.
Well, they gave him Hope Man. I think it was Superman. They had a whole chance to call him Hope Man.
But it's always put on that this, that hope is coming and all this. So he's like, yeah, I want them to be about hope and optimism, which is fine with me. My thing going forward, because I'm a fan of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and I don't want it to feel like completely 100% different. Like you can tell that, like the reins kind of changed or the direction changed, because I want things to kind of like wrap up in their own way, like that thing to wrap up, and then when the superheroes come, maybe make things brighter. The heroes coming together. My thing is bring levity to it. That's great. Like if you want to make it closer to Marvel, like okay. My thing is, don't be entirely like Marvel, because you have to make yourself different enough to show difference. Make it keep the adult tone, because that's one of the things I appreciated about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. So, in essence, like keep stuff true to the comics. Like have their powers be like they are from the comics. Don't try to like explain it with gadgets or whatever. Like keep magic as magic, which they seem to be doing with.
Don't fuck it over like they've done to Doctor Doom every single movie.
That's Fox, yeah, but I understand what you're saying. But that being said,
what? Batman should have lightning powers. Let's give him lightning powers and telekinesis. He doesn't have enough powers yet.
All right, but what I'm saying is that basically, like, they should keep the real world approach, being like have the characters be like how they are in the comics, but keep that reality of like how people reacted to Superman and Man of Steel. I found believable, because in Superman 78, which is a great movie and I love that movie, everyone just immediately is like, oh wow, Superman, he's great, he's amazing. But in reality, we wouldn't be like that. We would be, if we didn't know who Superman was, especially when he first comes out, like we'd be like,
politicians be like, we should build a wall around Superman.
We should kill Superman because we don't.
Bad element and
he's making things hard for our business and stopping drug dealers and But yeah, like I liked that approach, at least in those films, to being like having a real world aesthetic of people being not all positive for the heroes, because that's real life. I feel like there would be negative backlash. So in some ways, I think they should keep to that idea, at least, have there be that real reaction, that real world reaction, but keep things comic book, but keep it's even, the one thing I like about it too is it has affected things for the better. Like, I think Civil War wouldn't have been as good as it was if not for Man of Steel and Batman v Superman existing, because it made Marvel change things and made them be more mature.
Well, I feel like
in some ways
the
too.
Captain America movies were always a bit more
mature than some ways.
And mature.
I love that though. I love the Captain America movies.
The other movies are a lot more goofy.
Yeah.
Like
with
the first Thor movie.
Oh God.
When he's sitting there in the diner and he's always like, oh,
another!
Coffee, another, like meow meow, like, oh, your weapon thing, meow meow, like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like,
yeah,
those are always goofy, but the Captain America movies were like, oh man, war. And,
yeah. Now, granted, with the exception of like the first one, which is basically taking from like the Joe Simon, Jack Kirby comics from the originals, but even that, it still had a serious heart. The whole discussion between Cap and the Doctor was really good. Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean, there were jokes, but it was definitely an underlying seriousness, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but again, I like the fact though that like, for instance, okay, so like you had Avengers, and you had all this crazy stuff happening in the city and everything, and it shows people getting saved, but we still know hypothetically there's probably going to be collateral damage. It's like people were going to,
especially when they drive, like the aliens fly down the street and blow up a bunch of cars. Like,
yeah,
well,
those people are dead. Like,
there still might be people in those cars.
Yeah.
Like,
but then Man of Steel came out, and they did it much more intense, like, and so to the point where people like really did like go up and say like, well, what about all the people? And then immediately on cue, Age of Ultron comes out. And one of the first things they do when like they're evacuating Sokovia is they make sure to mention to the audience that like, oh, we got all these people out, or we got people evacuated. Yeah. Like they make a point to make it out, and then it even affects their own films. Like in Batman v Superman, when they're fighting in like an abandoned part of Gotham, like she's like, why didn't you bring the Doomsday out of the city? Wonder Woman asks, and Batman's like, it's okay, this part of the city's abandoned. Like obviously he's attached to.
What part of a city is ever abandoned?
Of Gotham,
like, really?
Seeing as this version of Gotham is basically like Detroit at this point, like it's, I don't know, but
there's still squatters and homeless people. Come on.
They still make a point. They still make a point to put it out there. So I like that. I like that they're like affecting each other on that level. But
yeah. Then again, too, in Civil War, when they're like, oh, they're evacuating the airport.
Yeah, evacuating the airport. They make a clear statement.
They have that one line. It's like, oh, so they can blow up buildings and planes,
and people won't worry.
Know that there's not people in them.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they make a point to go out of their way to say it. But yeah, all the stuff talking about Sokovia and Washington D.C. and New York, it all comes back on them and they bring it up to make Civil War. Civil War basically happened because Marvel wanted to compete with Batman v Superman, and even Kevin Feige admitted to that. But that being said, I'm okay with that because it was a great movie.
You knew Civil War was coming.
Oh no, I mean eventually it was going to get to some point like that where they were going to fight. But for me, it's okay because like I liked both BVS and Civil War just because they did a similar story in some ways, but in different contexts. And obviously, one universe is way more built up than the other. But I like the contrast. But what I'm saying with DC is just bring more levity. Fine, just keep the realistic adult tone if you can, or at least the perception of people on. Yeah.
You know that they're going to.
Yeah.
That is what sets them apart from Marvel.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, and I think that's great. And Suicide Squad looks like it's going to be.
Expect it's like.
You need varying differences.
They expect to see a dark Batman movie.
Yeah. So okay. So speaking of dark and Suicide Squad,
maybe like a dark Flash movie.
No. But if we have Jeff Johns running things now, who's a huge Flash fan, we're not going to have a dark Flash movie. I can get.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, they expect to have it just because the Flash of a character is lighthearted and jokey.
Yeah, and I was fine with them letting go of Seth Grahame-Smith, who doesn't have any real film directing experience, like directing this big movie, and I was like, that's fine. But let's talk about, because we're talking about Suicide Squad and dark Batman movies. Margot Robbie came forward to WB and was like, I love Harley Quinn. I got really into the lore, like reading the comics and stuff. Is there a chance we can do like a movie? And they already must be liking what she's doing in the Suicide Squad reels and stuff because they greenlighted her to have her own movie.
It's not a Harley Quinn like solo movie.
No. Well, it was put out there like that first, and now it looks like it's going to be like
still like a teen movie where it's other female villains.
It's all the female. It looks like it to be a cross between something like Gotham Sirens.
Hellcats or something?
No. So it's like Gotham Sirens, which is basically like Harley, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy, or a cross between
See,
Birds
like
of
that
Birds
right
of
there,
Prey.
It was just those three. Oh, Birds of Prey.
Birds of
That's
Prey.
the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. Now, Birds of Prey, Harley doesn't usually team up with them. At least I didn't watch like
but it's a team of
it's going to be
quote-unquote super villainesses.
chances of us seeing Black Canary, Huntress, and Oracle Batgirl are very high at this point now. I mean, I've already heard that Black Canary might be
a
in.
bunch of women fighting each other. Hey.
Yeah, I'll pay to see that.
Oil or like mud or something.
Come on, man.
Or...
No, but that too, like DC's already working on that as to what's different than Marvel, because right now, like they're like, yeah, we're gonna get in that Black Widow movie, which I'll more than pay to see.
I've been waiting for that for so long.
Yeah.
That and when
because the thing is with Marvel, and this isn't on Kevin Feige.
Also, she was pregnant for a while.
She was,
so
and that was the thing too.
I think it was like 9 months or so. She was pregnant.
Shut up, dude. But no, Kevin Feige, who is awesome. So there's a big rift between I think Marvel, like Marvel and Disney in some ways, because the CEO, Marvel CEO, Ike, I can never pronounce his last name, I don't know. Anyway, this guy who basically he's the reason why we lost Terrence Howard and got Don Cheadle, because Terrence Howard, like Ike is basically the Marvel CEO. He's the pencil pusher. He's the guy who makes sure that they have a budget and everything and all this stuff. And he was the guy that Kevin Feige had to report to while still working with Marvel Studios. Yeah. So since Marvel Studios got absorbed by Disney, Disney was like, no, Kevin, like you obviously know what's best for these movies, and we obviously have like an almost unlimited budget at this point. So whatever you want to do, you do it. You don't have
the Disney money.
Yeah, you don't have to report to Ike anymore. Like you report to Bob Iger, the head of Disney, and he's like, okay. So, but Ike was one of the main reasons why we didn't have like a solo Black Widow movie for a while, because he didn't believe that like a solo woman movie was going to be a big.
Dude, you would be a fucking blockbuster.
It would be fine, and it's Black Widow. Like everyone loves Black Widow.
To go and see Scarlett Johansson in like skin tight outfits the whole movie, instead of just like a side character in skin tight outfits.
Yeah,
like,
but even to the point like where the toys,
men and women will go and see that shit. Like
no, but it was ridiculous because even in the toys, you had like the Age of Ultron toys where like she's supposed.
Now they actually have Civil War action figures of her.
Good.
And everything. Yeah. That was one of the things that they were just like, oh look at we have action figures of Black Widow now. When they
would throw it to the side. Even Guardians of the Galaxy, they kind of threw Gamora under the bus, even though she was one of the best characters in that movie.
A lot of times is that female action figures don't sell to kids. They're like, yeah, but collectors will buy that shit.
Like I bought Wonder Woman action.
Men at home will buy that shit.
I bought Wonder Woman action figures, and that's the thing too. Like my first comment was like, well, I guess DC will be crying itself to sleep with the Wonder Woman action figure money they make. But no, so DC took up on that because while they're working on making like women's stuff at Marvel, like they're like, okay, well we got Wonder Woman, we're making that movie, and Harley Quinn wants to make a solo movie with other stuff, other female heroes. That's fine, we'll make that. And so that's happening now. I can't wait. I think it's either going to be a Gotham Sirens movie.
Yeah, but also Harley Quinn has a bit more of a giant following.
A giant following fan base. Yeah. She's like, how many Harley cosplays do you see, and how many Black Widow cosplays do you see? I mean,
do I see or do I stare at? What's the term here?
Can you not be a pervert just for like 5 seconds?
Come on, if somebody's in a Harley Quinn costume, you can't help but just like be like, especially when I'm walking around as Deadpool. Like,
yeah, okay.
I can't do it as Dr. Doom though.
I mean, it'd be hilarious if you did. No, it'd be great if you lift up the Dr. Doom mask and it's Deadpool underneath.
Oh my god! One day I'd have to do that. I'm totally.
You're gonna be.
I'm gonna do that.
You're gonna be completely like you're gonna need water because you're gonna like not be able to breathe. But yeah, because you'd be under two masks.
So
all right. Anyway, so yeah, I can't wait for the Harley Quinn movie. It's either going to be Gotham City Sirens, Birds of Prey, or Gotham City Sirens versus Birds of Prey. That's pretty much what's been rumored, and I can't fucking wait. I think that'll be awesome. So yeah, enough. All right, but I can't wait for that. Speaking of girls, in TV news, Supergirl. Okay, so I'm going to be clear. I have not watched a single episode of Supergirl. I was not.
Me neither.
I didn't care for it because it was on CBS. It wasn't in the CW.
I saw commercials for it, and it
looked terrible.
Actually, I take that back. I saw half an episode.
Okay.
I saw half an episode with like a lightning chick, and it had I think like the. I think
that's Livewire. Livewire
what's her name who played like Ally McBeal's there.
That's Clarissa Flockhart.
Flockhart. She's
Yep.
in the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw her, and she's like a radio DJ or something.
She's okay. Do you remember Superman 4? You probably don't, but you remember
Unfortunately.
Okay, and this is a character from the comics. This was in the 80s, but there was the girl who was into Clark Kent, and not Superman.
Oh, from his hometown?
No, not Lana Lang. It's like the other. In the 80s, I just can't remember the name of the character. I know the name of the character, but in the 80s they came up with this character because the whole appeal with Lois and Clark is that she's into Superman and she's not into Clark Kent, and then he has to basically get her as Clark Kent first and then show that he's Superman. That's the whole idea. This
he
other
does multiple times,
yeah.
And then he erases her memory.
Oh God, no! But and then in the 80s they came up with a version of a woman who was like from a competing
News
station or something, but also at the same time I think she worked for the Daily Planet, and she worked for the Daily Planet, but she was more like the gossip column, whereas like Lois Lane is like the main news and stuff. But she herself, shut up. But the one who's the gossip column person likes Clark Kent. She doesn't care about Superman. She likes Clark Kent, and so it was meant to be like a whole like Betty and Veronica type deal. But yeah, that's the character. That's the character that Clarissa Flockhart plays. She plays an older version of that character, basically.
She had like beef with the Electric Lady.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Supergirl couldn't fight the Electric Lady because the Electric Lady could like electrocute her heart dead.
I don't know.
That's actually like wording that they said, and I was just like, really, like that's how you're gonna word this?
So from what I believe,
and it seriously was just 3 chicks fighting in the street, and I was just like, all right, this reminds me of like the mid-90s type of really cheesy TV shows. It's like Buffy but bad, and like
no. So like the thing is that I think the Electric is Livewire, which was made up in an animated series.
Just sitting there, just being like, all right, just spray her down with water, like what? And like, why?
And that's what they do in the old TV show.
Like her X-ray vision and looks into the street to see a water pipe as she's being electrocuted, and she like punches through the concrete to grab the water main and go like psh, and like spray her, and I'm just like, why did you do that to start with? And then Calista Flockhart there like walks over, she's like, yeah, like water and electricity, it's a bad mix. And I was just like, really, like, what the fuck? Are all of you idiots?
So that's the reason.
Actually, and I remember sitting there watching it, just being like, actually, it's like a great mix. Like they're great together because water's a great conductor. It's not a bad mix. It's a great mix, but it's short circuit. Okay, and that's the end of my rant there. So yes, I did watch part of it, episode 1.
Yeah, so basically that's the reason why I've avoided this show. It has really bad writing, from what I've heard. My friend who saw I've heard the pilot is like the worst episode, or it's like it's.
Also, Martian Manhunter's in an episode, isn't he?
Yeah, so there was. I'll go into that in a sec because I have kept up on like what's been shown in the show. Just I haven't been watching it because again I am still a DC fan. They had a character called Hank Henshaw in there, which was meant to be like this big thing because in Superman mythos, Hank Henshaw is the identity of Cyborg Superman from like the Death of Return of Superman line. What you find out is that Hank Henshaw is actually just another identity of Martian Manhunter because he can morph into humans and whatnot. And then so Martian Manhunter was on the show for a while. That's what the reveal was in that.
That's kind of lame.
I don't know. It's whatever. Martian Manhunter in live action form sounds pretty cool, but not enough to make me watch the Supergirl TV show.
If they did it like Vision and an actual actor and not fully CGI.
From what my friend said. Now my friend Ben, who is a huge Superman fan. I mean, he likes Supergirl. He's not huge in Supergirl, but he loves Superman mythos and stuff like that. He loves Superman in general. He watched the pilot of the episode. I think he's seen a few other episodes, but he was just like, he's like, yeah, dude, I saw the pilot for the TV show, and it's basically Ugly Betty as Supergirl. And I was like, that sounds fucking terrible. And he's like, it is, don't watch it. And I was like, okay, we'll not watch it. And I didn't. But I've heard it's gotten a little better, but the main thing that people who don't know is that the guys who are behind like Arrow and Flash and Legends on the CW were also involved in that show, like getting the show off the ground. I don't know how much say they have in running it at CBS.
Supergirl getting off the ground.
Yeah. So anyway, CBS couldn't afford or didn't. I don't know. They were kind of considering like not renewing it or bringing it as far as like the budget and whatnot because it's a superhero TV show for flying around a lot of times. So the CW basically like grabbed it up and then brought it to their TV show. So that's awesome. In so many ways, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. But basically, what they did before the show ended, they had the Flash Supergirl crossover. I did not watch that. I heard it was pretty okay. But basically, Flash, who can go through different dimensions, ends up in hers.
Every time they do that, like every time Superman races him or Supergirl races Flash, I'm just like, wait a second, the Flash is fast enough to speed through time.
So the thing is, the other recurring thing about
skipping backwards and still be faster than both of them.
The other recurring thing with the show is that they keep doing like what stuff that happened to Superman in the comics, they keep having happen to her. Because obviously they can't show Superman, or for whatever reason, there's like some DC embargo thing. So it is weird. So yeah, one of the things is Superman races the Flash. But even in the comics, they've made jokes about that like the Flash is actually still the fastest. Like he did those for charity, and that he can outrace Superman at any point in time.
The episode of I remember the cartoon they did one. Where Superman racing the Flash, and it was for a charity event.
Yeah.
And they were both joking about how they're both holding back, and then there's one whole scene where they try to like edge out each other, and each time Superman's like, well, I can fly faster, and like Flash is like, oh yeah, like, and he like runs ahead of him and starts running backwards in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you can fly faster, and he's like running backwards, like nose to nose, like backwards.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's good for you. And then he like zips around and he's running next to him again.
I want to state how much I love Flash because he's one of the greatest speedsters in comics. Because they try to do other stuff, like they have Quicksilver at Marvel.
Yeah, Quicksilver would never keep up to.
No.
Flash.
I mean, he can go pretty fast, but like Flash is the Flash. They even I don't know. I think you know about this channel. That random guy. He makes
that guy.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Like his channel is called That Random Guy, but he does like the DC versus Marvel stuff all the time with action figures. And he had one for Quicksilver and the Flash, and it was one of the best ones they've done because you could immediately see who was more superior. Because he's like, well, I can run really fast. Well, I can run really fast too. He's like, well, I have to face, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and sometimes people attack the Avengers. They're like, oh, that's cool. Do you have, like, a rogue gallery that comes after you and tries to kill you all the time? No. I have a twin sister.
Quicksilver started out as a bad guy.
Oh, I know, yeah, no, I know the whole history of Quicksilver, but it was just a joke about how, like, the Flash can, like, do anything he wants pretty much, and just, like, it was great.
There's also multiple Flashes throughout history. So.
There's that, too, yeah, there's many, many Flashes, but, okay, so anyway, CW grabbed up Supergirl. They're bringing her over, and I think she's going to come into the main...
Which is a super feat to grab Supergirl and bring her over somewhere.
Okay, so anyway, she has her universe. I'm assuming because they've shown multiple Earths in Flash that she's going to lose her Earth or whatever, and she's going to have to come into the CW dimension with Flash and Arrow and Legends and all of that.
It's a good excuse to replace a bunch of the actors, too.
That as well, and filming locations, because they're moving from San Diego to Vancouver to help go back on cost and everything. I think that'd be great. So... I think it's fine. I might actually now have to watch Supergirl to like catch up, but I'm more than happy with her going to the CW because I feel like the writing is going to improve immensely, and they're not going to have to work with CBS writers, so that'd be good for the show.
What's next on the docket?
We want to talk about comics. I don't know because I know you're.
We want to talk about comics, eh? I thought this whole thing was we were talking about.
Can you shut up? Just shut up. All right. No, just because I know you're more into Marvel, so I know you're. I just showed you the new DC logo, which I thought was fine. I thought it was really cool.
Like I said a second ago, to me it looked like a letter jacket.
Yeah.
Like a college
thing, but I mean,
like logo.
Honestly, if you look at the old DC logos, it's like a combination of something old, something new. Which is so for those of you who don't.
Blue. So all they're missing is something borrowed.
Something borrowed? Oh, it's
something
the
old, something new,
something borrowed.
Something blue.
Okay, I got it. So for those of you who don't know, you probably know if you're into DC Comics, they're doing what's called the Rebirth. Basically, they had the Flashpoint event, which led into the New 52, which had mixed reviews, and that's fine because there was some great stuff like Jeff Johns.
Flashpoint is on Netflix. I saw that.
They made it. They made it the Flashpoint Paradox movie for the DC animated films.
I was watch
yeah.
So I ended up watching Ninja Turtles.
I don't know. Okay, anyways, but basically the Flashpoint happened, made New 52, and now they're making what's called the DC Rebirth. I don't know what's going to happen in DC Rebirth, but it's assumed and theorized
all
that
of the characters are getting sex changes.
Oh God.
They're trying to be more LGBT, like so.
Can we not bring them into this, please? Can we just talk about comics before we get sued or something? Thanks.
Dude, nobody listening is gonna sue us.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the 5 people who listen.
And then watch, it'll get like the most views, and then that'll be our first known podcast, and then we get sued. It'll be a great
For
time.
all these zero monies I own.
Yes, and me as well, which will make things worse. Anyway, so it's assumed that the rebirth will be basically a bringing together of the New 52 universe and the pre-Flashpoint, which is like the 1985 to 2011 run of DC Comics universe, like together, and they'll bring the best of both worlds. Because say what you want about the New 52, it did have a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of the Batman run was great. The Jeff Johns Aquaman, and then it was taken over later, but that run was particularly very good. There's a lot of the Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello. Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing. I mean, there's enough there from that 5 years that they did that culminated in something great. Especially the Jeff Johns.
Great another Swamp Thing movie. Sorry.
No.
Off topic.
From as far as I know, as far as films go with Swamp Thing, they want to make a Justice League Dark, which is basically like all the supernatural characters, which is like John Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman.
Well, Constantine is another TV show that I haven't watched any of that I've heard mixed reviews about.
Well, so Constantine kind of got picked up by the CW in his own way because the show got canceled, and then Constantine that version of that Constantine made a cameo on Arrow in like a flashback, helping out Green Arrow. Yeah, so I don't know if that was like maybe they might eventually do a Constantine show. It's hard to say. I think they're also kind of figuring out where Constantine is going to be in the films because again, Justice League Dark is having a hard time getting off the ground because they wanted Guillermo del Toro to do it, which would have been fantastic. But Guillermo del Toro does like 50 projects at one time, so.
Well, then again, they're all pretty awesome.
They are. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, it's hard for him to balance everything. So, but yeah, they wanted Swamp Thing with that Justice League Dark. So that's what I assume they might. I think their formula right now is to introduce a team and then introduce the origins afterwards to make themselves different from Marvel. But then the thing is, if you can have it be filmed within like a 5-year time, and the actors don't really age, you could just watch them in any order you want after they come out anyway. So it's like, I mean, I think they know the Flash is going to be fine because everyone's watching the TV show, so people will have a vague idea of who the Flash is. As far as like Aquaman, people have an idea of who Aquaman is, and I think when they see Jason Momoa in the movies,
why the hell is called Drogo underwater? What the hell?
Cyborg might be the hardest thing to explain, but seeing as he's connected to the mother boxes, he might play a pivotal point in Justice League.
Cyborg's going to be that far of a stretch for people.
No, he's an android, basically. Yeah.
I don't think that with all this stuff, ever since like Star Trek with Data and all the stuff in Marvel with people like being robots, like and like Vision, who is a robot.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure that like the stretch of the imagination there, they'll be like, oh, so he's a cyborg. Okay. Oh, his name's Cyborg. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Like
pretty much. But I mean, there's some vague back history. There's the whole of him being like an athlete, and then like his dad being the scientist, which is shown in Batman v Superman, but it's a very brief thing with the computer files. But either way, I think it'll be cool. I mean, I'm gonna see all the DC movies anyway, pretty much, unless like things, knock on wood, like go up in flames. But I don't see that happening. So I think it'll be great. Last but not least, I do want to bring up you're not familiar with this guy, but I obviously am, especially being a big DC Comics fan.
Before you get to that, I just want to mention one quick thing.
Yeah. No, go right ahead.
Mainly DC, but one cool Marvel thing.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Which we talked about last night, which we kind of saw coming anyway, is Blade, Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight.
It's mostly rumored, though. It's not. It's
rumored.
Yeah.
But still, we kind of saw.
If we're talking about TV, we can bring this up. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Like with the Netflix series, I think that Blade and Ghost Rider would be perfect for Netflix because
it's great.
Instead of movies, their storylines are so much more episodic than anything else. Like think about it, they're both like bounty hunters, more or less,
in their own ways. Yeah,
it would be great to see half-hour or 45-minute like little TV shows type of episodes with maybe like an overlying story arc, but not like. The thing is too is like they're not. I mean, well, Ghost Rider and Blade are known pretty well, but like they're
I wouldn't say their histories are say as well known as even say like
I just
Daredevil.
want it's another one like Ghost Rider. I've liked Ghost Rider for a long time.
Yeah, he's a cool underrated character.
Yeah, he's so underrated, and those movies did not do him justice at all.
No.
And those movies were just bad. And
I think I told you the story where like I saw the commercials for the Ghost Rider movie, and then it was me and my two friends who were at a theater, and me and my other friend, we knew the Ghost Rider movie was going to be bad, and then basically our friend Dan wanted to go see the movie anyway, and we were like, no, dude, it's going to be bad. We don't want to go see it, and he made us see it, and we hated it. And
Ghost
then
Rider's a badass. Like Ghost,
Yeah.
like he's really overpowered, but he never really uses his overpoweredness unless he
Yeah.
needs to.
as far as Nick Cage goes, I mean, I'm not
Nick Cage is Nick Cage in every movie.
okay. I'm not saying that
The only movie
he should ever be
his best movie was Raising Arizona.
and kick ass. He was couldn't kick ass.
Yeah, but even then he's like a parody of Batman.
But it's great though. It was really awesome. Okay, here's what I think. If Nick Cage ever wants to play a superhero ever again, I think he should play Vic Sage, the Question, on DC. Are you familiar with who that
No,
is?
not at all.
The Question is basically the basis of what Rorschach is in Watchmen.
Okay.
Yeah, and instead of like the mask that Rorschach wears, he wears like a prosthetic thing over his face where he can see through it, but it makes his face like non-existent. Yeah,
I do know that character.
he was in Justice
Okay.
League. He was in
Yes.
Justice League
I know him.
Unlimited.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he wears like the trench coat and he wears like the hat.
Yeah.
And he's got like the blank face.
Yeah.
I didn't know his name was the Question.
Yeah.
Okay, I do know that character.
yeah. That's a character I could see Nick Cage playing very well because you wouldn't see Nick Cage's face for the most part. And I think he could play very subtle to some degree, and then be like crazy and be like, "Tell me the answer." I think that'd be great.
I can agree with that.
I think that'd be awesome to see. That's my personal
But
fan
then
thing.
again, Wesley Snipes, the Blade movies.
So what I've heard,
the first
two are really good. Yeah,
were great. The third one was
Blade Trinity.
kind of a joke, and even Ryan
I-
Reynolds has made jokes about how it was a joke.
I think it's great that Ryan Reynolds has been
But
rebirthed
then also, there
with
was a Blade TV show on like Spike TV.
I know about that one. Yeah, and I never watched it.
saw
Yeah, no
Didn't
one
know
did.
It was on until it was already canceled.
Yeah.
But I would like to see. And Wesley Snipes was not involved in that.
No,
I
no,
think
he wasn't
was
in
jail
that.
at that time.
I think they've even said, or he said anyway, that Marvel is considering having him
I would love to have him back because
as Blade.
he
Yeah,
did it well. He did the character well.
He was
I
great.
enjoyed him as Blade.
I think it'd be funny too because they can just say like, "Yep, Blade 1 and 2, that's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Here's his TV show now."
But also, my thing is Moon Knight, which is a character that
Yeah,
I am not very familiar with. I know that
he's gotten very popular within like the last couple of years, especially. Like he's been getting off the ground and making more of like a mainstay in just what he does and who he is.
I also heard that there's who is it? I think ABC. Whoever does Agents of Shield, is that ABC or NBC?
Yeah, that's ABC, I think.
I heard. Well, they just canceled a bunch of their shows. Like
They canceled Agent Carter,
Agent
which I was
Carter,
pissed about.
Marvel's Most Wanted. What's the other one? Like the Cleanup Crew or whatever. Marvel's.
They wanted to do one with Mockingbird and the other guy.
No, that's Marvel's Most Wanted. That
Yeah,
was canceled
yeah.
already.
You know, it never got off the ground.
Yeah,
Never.
that one's already
Oh,
done.
Damage Control.
Damage Control. That one I heard is scrapped as well.
I think it's scrapped. I think they might still be thinking, but I think it might be
then
scrapped.
There's another one that's up in the air. That's Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger, yeah, that's
Those two characters I do know of.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with them, but it is a cool dynamic because they're a couple,
Yeah.
and one works with the power of light, and one works with the power of dark. Yeah,
And so, which is like great, yin and yang.
yeah.
But that one I heard was not scrapped yet, and they're still possibly up in the air about it, which would be interesting. But anyways, that's my little Marvel tidbit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for all DC Marvel stuff in general, but yeah, I'm interested to see the new Netflix.
I would love
But
to see a good Ghost
I don't want to necessarily talk about it yet.
If it's on Netflix and it's dark,
Yeah, it's gonna be
instead of
great.
being stupid, jokey Nicolas Cage, like to see like a dark Ghost Rider where it's actually like sinister and like a horror movie. I want to see like a horror movie like Ghost Rider.
I just didn't want to talk about it yet because I'm waiting till Iron Fist and all that and Defenders is all done, basically, and then the new I guess you call it Phase 2 of the Netflix shows will come out basically. So Yeah. Anyway, yeah, our friend just came in with like a giant loot crate of Marvel stuff, so we're
He has his
looking
own
at that.
Infinity Gauntlet, like
Muffin.
ultimate.
Oh, I'm taking that. I'm taking that too over there. Oh, cool. All right, we'll just put it there for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't constipated. Why?
Sure. You're a big Dragon Ball fan, so.
Oh, cool.
Oh man.
Dragon Ball.
Your Dragon Balls in private.
Oh god. Oh look. All right. So let's. Last but not least, let's talk about what I wanted to talk about. The artist known as Darwyn Cooke for DC Comics, who's most well known for doing DC: The New Frontier, which was the DC heroes in like the 1950s, and sort of like a Watchmen-esque approach, like dealing with like the issues of the 1950s and stuff like that. He's also really known for his design on Catwoman, as well as writing Catwoman for a while. The whole like leather outfit with like the big cat eyes like goggles, that was Darwyn Cooke. I was going to meet him this year at Boston Comic Con. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer and he passed away. He was 53 years old, and I'm very put aside that I was
young too.
Yeah, I was really put aside that I couldn't get to meet him because I did really enjoy his artwork. I keep thinking back because I've been to Boston Comic Con several times. If anyone knows, please comment. I feel like he might have been at Boston Comic Con before, and I might not.
Rhode Island.
Or Rhode Island, possibly, and maybe I didn't meet him because I was familiar with his work, but I didn't have anything for him to sign. I still feel like I would have gone over though and like met him or bought some of his artwork if that was the case. So maybe I'm just playing with things are just playing with my head. But someone let me know if he was in Boston Comic Con beforehand, because a lot of people who go to Boston Comic Con, especially, are people who have returned who like the experience, like say Scott Snyder, who I've met several times.
I heard John Barrowman might be coming back.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. I think he's awesome. John Barrowman, for those of you who don't know, plays in Arrow. He's Malcolm Merlin and also Captain Jack from Doctor Who. But yeah, Darwyn Cooke, I just want to say personally, he's one of my favorite DC artists. I think he's done stuff for Marvel too, possibly, but I don't know of any familiar work in there. But his DC stuff is great. Like he was both a great writer and a great artist too. Like I fell in love with his art first, and then I found out he wrote New Frontier as well as drew it. Just a really, really cool guy. I wish I would have had the chance to meet him. It would have been a cool experience, I feel. That's all I had to say on that. I don't think you're as familiar with his work.
I'm not, but still, rest in peace.
Yeah, you just gave a thumb up. Anyway,
Visuals.
yeah. So I think that's all we had to kind of do. We wanted to talk, I guess, because you're Marvel, you had to bring in the Marvel TV stuff. Only reason
I only brought it in because we were talking about.
No. I just didn't bring it up yet because it's more still rumors at this point. But I assume it's going to happen. If the Punisher TV show has been greenlit, I definitely see all those other shows definitely happening down the line.
Especially because Punisher is a lot more dark than Blade killing vampires and Ghost Rider killing demons. Or
Daredevil beating down a ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Or Daredevil fighting a guy until he commits suicide on like a fence post.
Alright, anyway, that's all we've got for today. We're probably going to post another podcast, possibly another rant soon, so look out for that. That's all I got for today.
Alright, bye everybody.
Alright, see you guys around.
Like and share.
Good lord. Okay. Talk